All right, it's Thursday, people. Let's do this.
Okay.
Did you say okay?
I did say okay. Good morning.
If I have to.
If
Good
I have to.
morning. Welcome to the Sun Dragon Sideshow.
The Dear Becky and Lizzie edition.
I'm just wanted to be noticed and said this is a top I have not worn in a while. It is a little form-fitting now on me. I'm a different shape than when I made it. This is the Bridge of the Gods top, and it's ever so cuter than the t-shirt I'm wearing underneath. So of course that shows. And if I made it now, I do like that the back is a little longer than the front. Bridge of the Gods is Kay Hopkins. Wearing it with a t-shirt, it kind is a little weird, but I just wanted to throw something on today. The lace work at the top, and there's like a little bit of lace work on the sleeves, is really cute. You don't have to make it this. This is an example of what I would say is either not much positive ease or almost negative ease at this point. And I'm kind of sucking in my tummy right now because I don't want y'all to see my belly button. But this is it's a really soft, nice, like if I had a little bit less of a tummy, I would love how this looks on me. I still am okay with how this looks on me. But don't you know we're all our own worst critics. So and I'm dealing with some body issues at the moment this week. So I got that off my chest.
Not that any of us have that.
None of us have that, right? We have people on the Ranunculus knit along page that are making long sleeves because they're not comfortable with their upper arms. And I get that. And again, we are our own worst critics because other people could look at those same pictures and say, your arms look fine. But just telling someone that isn't going to make them feel that. Yep. Like it could be true. It could be like everyone else thinks they look fine, but everyone's dealing with their own issues. Yep. And we can't force people not to. We can hope that they won't. We can hope that they will feel better and more positive about themselves. But sometimes it's doing what, like making longer sleeves to cover things will help you feel more positive about yourself. Anyway, there's my little soapbox moment for this 5 minutes. Because I can't promise I won't have another one. Hi, I'm Rebecca. I'm the owner of Sun Dragon Art and Fiber in thinking about not raining today, Brevard, North Carolina.
I'm Liz. I'm the minion there.
It was supposed to rain all day today. And it's wet out there, but it's not raining. That's exciting.
And the sun's coming out.
Sun's trying to. Maybe. Okay. Yes. So I'm going to start with happy birthday, Liz. Happy birthday. It's her birthday today. Yay. And so we're having a sale for social media people who don't watch this show, because if y'all are watching this show, you still have today and tomorrow to save 28% with the code Sideshow 800. Sideshow is in words, 800 is in numbers. Because we hit we're at what, 806 right now?
806 was this morning.
It keeps growing. Yay! It's so much fun. So you have until the end of the day on April 15th. I think it's the stroke of midnight, probably East Coast time, to keep using that code online. You can use it in the shop too. You can call the shop if there's something you think we have in the shop that you can't find in the online shop. That's going to end though at like after the work day ends on Friday. Things that are in the shop only are not available to that discount. I'm doing the same thing with the birthday discount. Like Minion B-Day, no spaces, is what I just put up on Instagram and Facebook for the people who aren't watching this. They have a chance to save some money too, which is not as much as you guys. Thank you for watching and subscribing. Yay! Okay. Was that chipper enough?
Yeah.
I tried. Because it's her birthday. And is that
your
let me show y'all. I sent her, this is I figured Liz would like this. I have to get over to it. So while I'm doing that, hey, you made that part of that dress last night, at least the top layer, maybe? Do you want to show people pretty stuff? She's making all
attaching the shoulder straps this morning. That's why I'm
tired,
awake.
More awake. Oh, maybe you had ta-da. Isn't that pretty? She makes pretty stuff. Can you show them the lace? Not to flash everyone, but see, she did lace edging on the bottom. It's very cute. So I don't do stuff like that. I put on a Sun Dragon t-shirt and I have 2 pairs of pants that are work pants. And then I dress it up with something like this, you know. So this is what I sent Liz this morning. A birdie told me it was your birthday. I ate him. You're welcome. That's just for Liz. So, you know.
It's nice because the birds are way too chipper in the morning. So
That's what I thought.
She gets me.
That's what I thought. I saw that a couple weeks ago, not long after the assault in the Carolinas.
Yeah.
When all the birds were doing their morning greeting, basically a stay away from us, but it sounded very chipper.
Way too chipper for
chipper.
that hour of the morning.
It was really early. So for us, you know, when you were debating what to do with your dress, like what to finish at night, what to do in the morning, I'm like, well, if you're tired, go to bed. But we all know you're not a morning person. So how much are you going to get done in the morning?
I got up a bit early.
Yeah.
I stayed up probably longer than I wanted to last night, but I got all the trim done and put the front of the shoulder straps on, and then woke up this morning and finished the back, and then had time to put some different dreads in my hair. And I put teal ones in.
Look, you have teal ones in. Look, it goes with my top. Look at that.
And we almost the tealy coordinating.
Yeah. Does that mean I have to wear this even though it's feeling kind of a little snug on me?
No.
I mean, I might. We'll see how much feeling the cave in of my belly button is annoying me later in the morning or the day. I might not even notice. I probably won't. It's pulling me towards, so I can't find my wrist ruler right now. I know it's somewhere at home, but I can't find it. And I haven't gotten a colorful one yet. And the teal one keeps calling my name. Then I feel like I should get something other than teal, but the teal one keeps calling my name.
Then use the teal one.
Okay.
Like,
I'm ordering more. I don't know when, but I'm
ordering.
Shocked. Well, if I'm gonna take one, I have to replace it. So y'all could get one with the code and save money. The wrist rulers are awesome. My wrist feels naked without it. But yes, teal. I might change my mind. I might get like the blue. The blue's pretty, but it's not calling my name.
Take your own advice and get what makes you happy.
Yeah, it's so much easier to tell other people things that make them happy than to do it for myself. So I've had a rough week, so maybe I should be nice to myself. Okay. So it's the Dear Becky and Lizzie edition today, and we do have a question that I should have brought in my thing.
I didn't bring in my thing either.
We got this yesterday, and I wasn't thinking when I left the house this morning. So we're going to do our best to answer it, and then if there's still time, we will ramble on about various and sundry things, because that's what we do. So I could show you progress on my ranunculus. Maybe it's not much more than before, but the colors are pretty. So, okay. Are you waiting for me?
No.
Go ahead.
Dear Becky and Lizzie, does adding mohair to your project make the project softer? If so, how much softer? If not, what is the purpose? Also, does mohair come in different thicknesses? Looking to try mohair with some other yarn to make another ranunculus. Any information on mohair would be appreciated. Thank you, Alaska fan.
I'm gonna go grab some props, but what we were just talking about is we didn't bring in props of things knit with mohair, like your shawls at home.
I have shawls at home that have mohair in them. So
I don't think we can give a super scientific answer to this, like which is what she might be looking for.
Yeah, so there's a whole trend in knitting mohair into projects, and and
especially holding mohair with something else.
It does add softness.
Yeah, we can try to work through this piece at a time.
It also adds a halo.
Yeah, like I'm gonna try to hold this up. I have a couple different mohairs that we have in the shop, and I'm gonna try to, like, I'm putting this, there we go. I don't know if you can see the fuzzy halo on that. A lot of animals that aren't wool, aren't sheep, have some level of halo, which is the fuzzy stuff, like alpaca being in a yarn, or llama being in a yarn, Angora well, there's fluff to it, right? And that fluff is what makes things softer. And we should start by, when most people talk about mohair, like the general word mohair is thrown out, which gets to her thickness question.
Yeah.
They're not talking about mohair by itself usually. Like there are yarns out there that may try to do that.
I
Didn't
have
you?
some mohair. It's mohair and merino, and it's a worsted weight, but it's not. It has a slight halo, more like the ultra alpaca. It's not like what people think of when they say mohair.
To back up a sec, yeah, for what people think of when they say mohair, is most, if not all, mohair yarn is mohair with something else. Mohair by itself, didn't you read somewhere or something that like mohair by itself is not easily spun or made into like,
it can be longer locks. So Angora bunny is short staple. Yak can be short staple.
Staple is like the length of the hair, right? Okay.
It depends on when you comb or shear the goat, how long that staple
so
is.
some mohair has so mohair is goat fur or something hair, right? From a certain type of goat, maybe
Angora goats.
Okay. Angora is bunnies. Angora goats give you mohair, right? And cashmere is that from a different type of goat? See, she keeps more facts in her head than I do.
Cashmere, the Cashmere Association decides which goats are cashmere and which goats aren't. There are goats that are the same breed as cashmere goats.
Is it the goats that don't make the cut that become mohair?
No, it's a different breed, but like cashmere is the winter coat.
Okay.
Like it's super, super soft, and they go
and warm, I would assume.
They comb it out. Like
that's why it's so expensive. You have to comb it out. Okay. So what most people classically think of mohair, this super thin but very fuzzy stuff, it's usually considered like a lace weight on the thickness of yarn scale. It's mohair with a silk core. Like it's not just mohair. The thing you see in the center there is silk, and then the mohair is kind of, they work it in as they spin the yarn, and that's what makes the fluff, is the mohair. So yes, adding mohair to something, this type of mohair, and again, we've got some sparkle in the shop, woo, and we've got color changing, and like, I don't know if you can see, like this one, I'll hold it down here. This one, Universal will consider yarn that looks the mohair like this, like a lace weight, but this one they consider like there's no number on here. Not all yarns use the numbers, but this one they've categorized it in like their sport weight category, which is 2 heavier thicknesses, and I think it's just because like the core looks the same. It's fluffier, so that fuzz will make things feel softer. It will also thicken up what you're making. So when you hold it with something, like holding a fingering like merino, like Liz was just talking about a merino blend mohair, but holding like a fingering weight merino yarn, like merino nylon blend or just merino, like Cascade Heritage, which is what I'm doing for my I'm having trouble with words today. What I'm doing with my no frill sweater by Petite Knit, which I forgot to bring in today. A fingering and what is technically a lace weight held together is what is called for the sweater, but it's considered a DK weight sweater, which is usually 2 strands of fingering weight held together, thicker than mohair held together, equals a DK. But it's the fluff on this. It's like it'll be a softer than if you just made it with DK, because like
the fluff will fill in all the gaps. So
yeah, so it'll make it softer. But if you are making, so she's talking about a ranunculus. If you took like a fingering weight, a sweater that's written for fingering weight, and you held a fingering weight and a mohair together, it might make it softer, but also the stitches might be tight enough that might compensate for the softness and make it a little like, so it might come out just as soft. Like the fuzzy part of it will feel soft, but you're adding dimension to it too. So if you're adding a mohair like this to another yarn, you need to factor in that it you should find a pattern that's written for a thicker yarn than your original that you're holding the mohair with, if that makes sense.
Yes.
I'm going to grab another prop. You keep talking.
I will say for the ranunculus, there are people that have added mohair in, and there are people that have done them entirely in mohair.
Because that's a lace weight.
Because yeah.
And it's super fluffy. Okay, so this is my sorrel. The sorrel is one of those in the trend that's written for a strand of fingering weight and a strand of mohair to be held together, which equals a DK. And I just made it out of a DK. And I love it, and it's wonderful, and it's the sweater I get the most compliments on, but it is not as soft as if I had done it with the fingering weight and the mohair. So yes, if I had done this with fingering weight and mohair, which is what I'm doing for the no frill sweater, that would definitely feel softer, and it would be warmer. So for our writer, who I think signed off as an Alaskan knitter or something, Alaska fan for Alaska. Mohair is going to make anything, even a thinner yarn. If you hold it with a mohair, it will add to the warmth and the softness. Definitely.
I will go on my slight rant for a second about mohair.
We all have that. Yes.
So
I have ideas of where this is going.
I love mohair. I add it into different things, and I often refer to it as the devil's yarn. And everybody's like, but it's so soft and it's so light, and we should make a sweater entirely out of mohair. And I'm like, where do you live? And they're like, Florida. But it's so light. So thin. It's so thin. And I'm like, okay, so with any yarn that has fuzzy, any yarn that has a little halo, it grabs air bubbles around you, like the little air molecules, and then your body heat heats those up. And then you cannot get away from the fire fast enough. So if you
rip it off,
if you live in a warm climate, mohair might not be, unless you're cold-blooded.
Don't make assumptions because it's thin.
Yeah. I tell some knitters and crocheters when they're like, ooh, single stranded would be awesome. I took like an M hook, which is like a 13 needle.
Really big.
And I crocheted or started crocheting just a very loose, it was chains and single crochets. That's it on mohair, and lots of holes, and it would float in the breeze because it was so light and drapey. And in the summer, as it floated, it would float down and get down, and it would land on my lap. And about 2 minutes later, it was like, oh my gosh, I'm burning up. Why am I on fire?
Well, and animal fibers will be warmer, and even when they're thinner, will be warmer than plant fibers in terms of living in a hot climate.
Yeah.
But thinner sometimes usually is better. Like a fingering weight merino, I would still make a nice open lacy top out of that for Florida.
Because it'll breathe.
But it's still an animal fiber. But mohair is different. Yeah. Mohair wants to like it wants to suffocate you in a fuzzy, warm, extra soft way. So
it's like the anything with the fuzz. Like we have the baby butts and unicorn kisses, and it's a chainette with the alpaca fluffed in, and it's like wearing a cloud. Mm-hmm. Like I made a sweater on 19 needles. It's like wearing a cloud,
but like an insulating heating cloud.
But when I come inside and the heat's on, it's like wearing a cloud of fire.
Yeah.
And it is soft and yummy, and oh my gosh.
We have a hat you can make out of just one of these, and it's a little slouchy hat, and it looks so cute and so thin, and it's like, well, that must just be for style. No, it can be very warm too.
Yeah. So
to address the what thicknesses does mohair come in, you can find it thicker when it's blended with another fiber. Going back to the thin thing, warm thing, silk is also a warm fiber, and so even a thin silk. So this is thin silk and mohair, so both of them. So someone's like, I'll make a silk top for Florida, and it's like, yes, go inside, find some air conditioning, because even if it's really thin, it might be warmer than you expect. So because silk is not, people might confuse silk with a plant fiber because it's not an animal like fur fiber, but it still has a lot of warmth to it. So I've seen thicker mohair yarns listed places, but usually it's because it's a chainette or it is blended with a wool or some other fiber to make it thicker.
We do have the water.
That's alpaca.
That's alpaca, but it mimics
Yeah. But if
mohair,
you're-
and it's a thicker.
If our question writer was asking specifically about mohair,
I have not seen
I've seen thicker, but it's not mohair on its own.
Yeah.
It's a mohair blend, like you were saying,
Yeah.
with a merino or with something else to make it thicker. I think Noro has a bunch of yarns that
Mohair
have
in
some
it.
mohair content in them, but you're not necessarily going to go, oh, look, it's mohair. You wouldn't recognize it as mohair.
It's not the ones
Like I
that,
think
like,
doesn't Silk Garden
maybe
has a
some
little bit of
mohair.
mohair in it, and
Yeah.
they have some other ones that have like mohair and cashmere, and it makes it a little softer, but there's a lot of the unfinished wooliness of Noro balances that out. So it's not like you can say, oh, this has cashmere or mohair in it. It's so soft. It's like, it's kind of soft. So,
I would say,
and I wouldn't look at Noro Silk Garden and say mohair right off the bat by visually inspecting it. So
like, in the winter, I wear mohair. In the summer, I will not, because we do
I
have
might. I run colder than her.
You
so.
do. We do in the winter. I can tolerate mohair going, especially if I'm outside, or it's just another protective layer. I love it. It's soft. It is the devil's yarn. Quick tip: if you're knitting or crocheting with it and you're trying to frog it out, the little hairs,
they grab to each other. Oh
they're
my gosh.
like friends.
You
we want
can
to be
pull
friends,
it out,
and
but
you
it's
can't.
like,
We don't want to let go.
Love me, keep me, hang on to me. Yeah.
The tip that we have heard is you take your mohair project and stick it in a Ziploc bag, like a gallon Ziploc bag, zip it up, avoid smells or ice or whatever, and throw it in the freezer for a little bit, and it freezes the hairs stiff.
And then they're like,
and then you can
I have this vision of someone just taking the mohair of their project and throwing it in the freezer, and it's like licking like the frozen flagpole in Christmas Story, and I hung, like
that's why
like
I say
it's stuck
stick
to
it in a bag.
I don't know if it would, but yes, I think sticking in a bag
you
just
don't want
keeps
it
safe
sitting
from,
on your ice cubes and then getting hair
and then it's
mohair
just
in your
jingle
ice.
jangle. I don't even know what's going on with
Yeah.
it. So I would say, so can you go back to the question, because there might be other things we could say. But if this person is thinking about it for Ranunculus suggests a lace weight to a worsted weight, because it still wants some fluffiness. Like on a size 10 needle, you could use thicker yarn, and we're seeing people on the Ranunculus, the Sun Dragon knit along page. We're seeing people on that page who are doing it with a chunky yarn, even, because a 10, you should be able to knit a chunky or a bulky yarn. But she wants it drapey. If you don't want it drapey, then you can go thicker. But based on Midori's recommendations, I would
Nope.
What?
Oh, I thought I had my pink.
That's the one I was thinking of.
shawl.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. I wouldn't like a fingering weight. I thought I had kept that from going to sleep, but I had a fingering weight like the Fiber Spates 4-ply or Cascade Heritage held with a mohair takes it to about a DK. I wouldn't necessarily hold it with a yarn that is thicker than, say, a sport weight, because then you're starting to exceed the thickness that Midori wants you to maximize for your Ranunculus. By all means, you can do whatever you want. Just know that we don't stand behind that, in terms of we can't even guarantee what we're recommending will work for everybody. But I wouldn't necessarily hold a worsted weight with a mohair and then knit a Ranunculus unless you're okay with it being super dense, because it will be super dense. It may still be soft on the edges, on the fluffies.
We have had a knitter hold mohair with a thicker yarn for like socks to help reinforce.
I was addressing the Ranunculus, but yes,
yeah,
I've done that. I made chunky socks for my brother-in-law, and I was making socks for everybody. And most of the yarns I was using for these socks had the wool and nylon combo, even though they were thicker, which is supposed to give you more stable socks that last. And my dad did just say that the other one, the Fair Isle yarn I was using, those socks have still held up. And I want to say that was the last Christmas before the pandemic hit that I gave those out. So he's had those for a few years. For my brother-in-law, I wanted to I picked a nice neutral, and I picked just a washable wool, but there's no nylon in it. So I held it with a strand of mohair. I think he's afraid to wash them because of that. And I don't know, something might happen to them, but that was like holding it with silk or something else to add stability. I think it worked. I haven't asked him, if he hasn't really machine washed them. I don't know if they've held up, because I don't know if he's hand washing anything. So they might be in a drawer somewhere. But yes, you can absolutely hold it with thicker yarns. There's no problem with holding it even with a super bulky to add a little bit of fluff and softness, but I would go up needle sizes from what you think you need to knit with.
Yeah. I have
If you want it to stay soft.
She is looking to try mohair with some other yarn to make another ranunculus.
Mm-hmm.
I would use a fingering weight,
Mm-hmm.
and I have used mohair to tone down the color, like,
because it can, if it's a different color, it can change the color of what
Yeah.
you're making a lot.
yeah.
The one thing though, that depending on what fiber you're holding it with, like if you're holding it with a cotton, I'm not really sure what's going to happen. I mean, it'll soften it, but it won't, because the cotton doesn't have a lot of give to it.
And the mohair may or may not have a lot of give to it.
I would stick with animal fiber and animal fiber. Like
Yeah.
I would stick with a wool, or you could do an acrylic. Acrylic it kind of bridges the gap between different things, a synthetic. But if it's a really stiff plant fiber, it might soften it up, but it might be a funky feel. I'm just not sure. You'd have to test that out. So that's my only caveat on that.
Yeah.
So that's a lovely discussion to have. So that is your Patagonia ranunculus,
This
right?
is my Patagonia. It would
That's 100%
be
organic
even
merino.
softer with
Mhm.
a strand of mohair.
The other thing I'll say, one of the reasons I didn't do my sorrel with the mohair is there's potential for the mohair to soften your stitch definition too, as I splurt on stitch definition saying that. I mean, the sorrel has a lot of stitches to show off, but they did it with mohair and it still shows in their pictures. But the ranunculus, like, you'll still see the cute patterns, because I'm doing ranunculus with lace, and you can still, when I'm wearing it, see what's going on with it, right? But fuzziness, any type of fuzziness will soften that stitch definition. So it will change how visible the stitch
And
definition is.
If you look, hold on,
Issues.
I'm looking at we're trying to find my pictures.
There's one made with
yeah, on the pattern, the middle one with the three girls.
That one says like lace plus lace, like it was two mohair strands.
It might
together
have been
maybe, or
two
something.
mohair, but you can still see all the lace work.
Yeah.
It's just softer
Super softer.
than without the mohair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to wrap up, because it's almost 10 o'clock here, and we should open up the shop in case lessons come early or people come shopping or things like that. But reminder again that you've got today and tomorrow, the end of the day on the 15th, our 28% off sale ends. We've had some lovely purchases with that. It's only on stuff that is currently in stock. It's not going to be on pre-ordering, or if something's coming in the future, can I pay for it now? We're not going to do that right now, because we need to get ready for the yarn crawl. We need to have a few things in the shop. So it's only on what we have in stock now. Don't worry, we're already heading towards the 900 sale. At some point, if we keep growing the way we're growing, that could be sooner rather than later. If you haven't subscribed, you can help us get there by subscribing, click the
Liking,
alert bell,
ring the bells,
all those things to like know when videos to come out, to stay on top of, hey, there could be a sale today. Even if you are behind on the videos, when our subscriber level gets close to the next 100, take a break and watch the most recent videos to find out what's going on, because help us help you, right? All that kind of good stuff. We have sit and stitch tomorrow night, virtual sit and stitch on Friday night from 7 to 9 p.m. You can enter Zoom with the shop phone number
828-877-3550.
It's starting to be nicer weather, so weather permitting, if people want to come hang out at the shop and knit outside or crochet, that's fine. We may not be able to hang out with you, but we're not having formal times for that yet. We may, as the summer months approach, ease into that, but it's outside right now. So dress appropriately and be ready for like rain or cold or
Wind.
especially wind, because we get a lot of wind out here. I'm trying to remember what else so we're heading towards big events. I'll just remind y'all, local yarn store day is April 30th. I am, where'd it go? I started, some companies will be putting out free patterns if you buy the yarn. This week, you all can see what this looks like by Tuesday. This is the beginning. I know it doesn't really show up very well. That might
I
show
was
up a
like,
little
wow,
better.
that's brighter than I thought it was.
It's super bright blue, but it's the Sun Dragon
It's
blue.
Sun Dragon blue.
Like one of our adjacent colors after yellow and red is this super royal blue. And so I'm making a wrap. It's a wrap tends to refer to something more rectangular than shaped. So this has some shaping in it to make lace work, but there's no worrying about the sides. It's just back and forth. This is the first of, I want to try for 2 different samples before April 30th. Wish me luck. And at least I'll have some of it done for people to see what's going on, right? But that's April 30th. We'll have stuff in shop, and we may have stuff online for faraway customers who can't visit us. And then the following week is the Western North Carolina Yarn Crawl. And Liz, we might have people, no, maybe they're checking out other stuff, but we need to open the shop.
Yep.
It's 10 o'clock. So we love y'all. Have a good weekend. Use the sale code while you have it, and we'll see you next week. Bye.